The 2018 Rookie of the Year race was probably one of the most controversial NBA award races in recent memory. Along with that, the 2017 draft class had a decent amount of hype around it. It's easy to forget now because the number 1 and number 2 draft picks, while they have had solid careers in the NBA, never really lived up to their hype. Markelle Fultz and Lonzo Ball were both touted as franchise-altering draft picks. Markelle Fultz was a 20-plus point per game scorer on good efficiency with 5 assists and 5 rebounds per game at Washington, while Lonzo Ball was a consensus All-American as a freshman. 14 points per game, 6 rebounds, almost 8 assists, and 2 steals per game. He led the nation in 2-point percentage, shot 50% from the field, 40% from 3, with a 66% effective field goal percentage. That, mixed with his size and athleticism, is exactly how you get the infamous Steph Curry with a 40-inch vertical video. The crazy thing is, neither of these two players would be a finalist for Rookie of the Year. Only 2 players out of the top 10 in this draft class would finish as a finalist for the Rookie of the Year. What hurt both Lonzo Ball and Markelle Fultz once they got to the league would be their jump shot. Lonzo had a terrible looking jump shot, and we aren't talking like a Tyrese Halliburton. This is closer to a Michael Kidd-Gilchrist looking jump shot. That was the number 1 thing going against him in this draft. If he had a normal jumper and a normal father who didn't argue with Stephen A. Smith about how he could beat Michael Jordan in a one-on-one, Lonzo would have been seen as the next great oversized point guard, which I guess is kind of fitting because Magic Johnson is the guy that drafted him. Markelle Fultz, unfortunately, would end up having one of the worst injury sagas that any rookie has ever been through, which is kind of a theme for Philadelphia 76ers draft picks. I mean, I even remember hearing all the news about his shoulder injury as the story developed, talking about how he needed fluid drained and all that stuff, but I still don't completely understand what exactly happened to him. The short version of it is he had nerve issues in his shoulder. I could go on and on about this whole 2017 draft class for an entire video though. So let's actually get to the players who were finalists for Rookie of the Year. Finishing 5th was Dennis Smith Jr. Drafted 9th overall to the Mavericks, Dennis would put up solid numbers. While he was not the most efficient shooter, his athleticism and overall playmaking abilities had almost every NBA fan thinking that he was a future 20.7 assist guy. Obviously, that wouldn't actually be the case, because his rookie year would end up being the best season of his career, at least as of now. But Dennis is still holding down a spot as the Brooklyn Nets backup point guard. And after his career did kind of derail back in 2020, it looks like he's back on track to have a solid NBA career. Kyle Kuzma would be the player who ended up finishing 4th. He also finished 9th in 6th Man of the Year voting as a rookie, and that's kind of impressive. Kuzma had a somewhat surprising rookie year after being drafted 27th overall and the Nets trading him to the Lakers in the D'Angelo Russell trade. The Lakers had a lot of established NBA bigs, and even despite all that competition, Kuzma still played 77 games and even started in 37 of them, putting up 16 points and 6 rebounds. His career has also turned out pretty good. As much as people do dog on him, Kyle Kuzma is still averaging over 20 points and 6 rebounds per game the past 2 seasons with Washington. He has established himself as a legitimate starting NBA power forward, but his pre-game fits are still kind of crazy, and he is playing on the worst team in basketball right now. Finishing 3rd would be Jason Tatum. Obviously, today, in the current NBA, everybody knows Jason Tatum. Even if he is a cornball and he plays for the Boston Celtics, by the time his career is over, he will be up there with some of the best NBA players ever. But back in 2018, he was not looked at like that. He was a young guy coming off his freshman year at Duke, putting up impressive numbers. But would that translate to the league? And would he be able to handle the pressure in a sports town like Boston? Tatum would average almost 14 points, 4 rebounds, and shoot above 40% from 3 as a rookie. And again, obviously, after all that, Jason Tatum, all-star, probably top 10 player in the NBA, champion. Yeah, y'all already know all that stuff. You know, up to this point in this Rookie of the Year race, everything seemed kind of normal. You know, you've got guys, they're averaging 15, 16 points per game, few rebounds here and there. Shooting averages aren't necessarily the best because they're rookies. That's just kind of how it goes for them. So everything seems kind of normal. It doesn't seem controversial. You're probably wondering why this has a whole video made about it. And that is until right now. The top 2 vote getters for the Rookie of the Year award would be Ben Simmons and Donovan Mitchell. The problem with this is Ben Simmons was drafted in 2016, a whole year before the 2017 guys. Ben would miss the entire 2016 to 2017 season after he broke his foot during a scrimmage in September and it didn't heal properly. But now Ben was healthy, and he did play well for the 76ers. 15 points, 8 assists, 8 rebounds, and 50% from the field. Undoubtedly, if Simmons was a true rookie, he would run away with this award. Even with him not being a true rookie, he still should have run away with this award. But unfortunately for Ben, Donovan Mitchell happened. After 2 seasons at Louisville, Donovan Mitchell would be drafted 13th overall to the Denver Nuggets. But Denver would trade him to Utah for Tyler Lydon and Trey Lyles. The Nuggets really could have had Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, and Donovan Mitchell, but gave it up for that. Anyway, Donovan would put up 20 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.5 steals, while also putting up 17 shots a game as a rookie and making 43% of them. This turned the Ben Simmons vs. Donovan Mitchell debate into a real thing. On one hand, Ben was outperforming Donovan in every aspect of the game other than scoring. But on the other, Ben wasn't a true rookie. He had played a whole summer league and went through training camp up until his injury on September 30th. While he did not play in a regular season or preseason game, he still went through the process of getting ready to play in the NBA with NBA staff and players for months, while Donovan Mitchell was still playing college basketball. I'll be honest with you. At the time, I was on the side of Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell might be my favorite non-pacer of all time next to Allen Iverson. So you could say I'm biased and discredit everything that I've said up until this point. And this debate could go on for hours. Thousands of people on NBA Twitter have already argued this topic to death back in 2017 and 2018. So my final opinion on it is that while it is unfair to Ben that he got hurt, it's also unfair to Donovan Mitchell to put him up against a guy who's been in NBA facilities for a whole year before him. Everyone has their own opinion on this, and that's just mine. But opinions aside, who actually won the award?
2018 Kia NBA Rookie of the Year is
Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons did end up winning the Rookie of the Year, but Donovan Mitchell has had the much better career overall. If you didn't know, Ben Simmons has fallen off a cliff. Despite being named an All-Star for 3 consecutive years, going into the 2022-2021 season, he decided to have a lengthy holdout and miss the whole year with a back injury. After that, he hasn't played more than 40 games in a season or averaged over 10 points. He hasn't even attempted a 3-point shot since 2023. Meanwhile, Donovan Mitchell has been an All-Star for 5 years in a row. He's also been in the playoffs 7 years in a row with both Utah and Cleveland. So don't feel too bad for Donovan Mitchell because even though he didn't win Rookie of the Year, it's safe to say that he had the last laugh. While this was a pretty controversial thing among NBA fans, that's what made it so great. We've had some pretty fun Rookie of the Year races, but for me, this was the most torn I had ever been. Maybe I'm just nostalgic because at this time it seemed like there was so much drama in the NBA when it came to this rookie class. And while at the time we may have found it exhausting to listen to LeVar Ball rant or 76ers fans tell you why Ben Simmons was the next Magic Johnson, looking back at it, this was really fun, and it was a really fun time to be a fan. So really looking back on this whole race, is extremely nostalgic for me. Please ignore this absolutely atrocious fit that I have on. I didn't think I was going to end the day with the video completely edited, so I didn't expect anybody to see me. But you know what? We're rocking with the Purdue jersey with the Tigers sweatshirt. You know, I put it on, so I gotta go with it, and I'm going with it. But yeah, it was really fun to do this whole video, especially really talking about like the Lonzo Ball and Markelle Fultz, because you kind of forget that those are the two big guys coming into this draft. It was Markelle Fultz versus Lonzo Ball. It was those two dudes. Nobody was really talking about Ben Simmons and Donovan Mitchell going head to head. Nobody really thought that was going to be a thing. And that was until the season started and Lonzo Ball didn't really score like people thought he was going to. And Markelle Fultz was injured off and on and had his whole stuff with his shoulder and couldn't really shoot and really lost confidence as the year went on. It just got worse mentally for him. But then you had Donovan Mitchell and Ben Simmons both emerge as borderline all-star level players this year. And you just kind of looked at them and you were like, yeah, these are the two dudes right here, without a doubt. These guys are going to be all-stars one day. They're going to be some of the best that we're going to see in the league. And for a time, that was true with Ben Simmons up until, he fell off a cliff. And for Donovan Mitchell, the past 5-6 years, it's absolutely been true. But just that era of NBA basketball with, you had prime Steph Curry, you had LeBron aging really well. I'm not a LeBron fan, don't even like LeBron, but those were some of his most entertaining years, just fighting with those Cavs teams. And you had LeVar Ball just doing LeVar Ball stuff. And the social media, the YouTubers that you had at the time in 2017 for NBA YouTube and NBA 2K YouTube. I mean, Mike Korzemba, Troy Dan, Ali Productions making his Lonzo Ball videos, like whole Ball family videos. Just videos completely based around the Ball family and making fun of LeVar. And just that era was such a great time. I was like 11, 12 years old during that. It was such a great time to grow up in. It was such a transition from the 2014, 2015 era basketball. You wouldn't think 2 years makes that much of a difference, but it was just completely different. The landscape of the NBA was completely different compared to 2 years ago. It was just a wild time filled with drama, and I really think that's what the NBA is trying to get back to. And I think it'd be really cool if we could get back to that. It's possible if the NBA stops getting in its own way. Honestly, it's kind of like the NHL, where they have a great product. Just like any sport, they have a great product, and they get in their own way. That was before they started selling out to streaming services and stuff, so maybe that's got something to do with it. I don't know, but this was really fun to kind of take a trip down memory lane. Anyways, I'm Limos Pulls. I'll see y'all next time.
But you get the mix right, nigga, put it in the blender. Hell yeah, I'm Wingstop. Bitch, I'm selling chicken tender. It's like the beef with energy and water like timber. Hey, turning, looking like dinner. It's like I got the bag, boy or girl.